welcome to another video here with Queen City Reefs and more. First, I just want to say thank you to everyone that is subscribed to this channel. Thank you for everyone that has decided to click on this channel and see what this whole video is about, and I hope that after you watch this video you'll consider subscribing. So I wasn't sure how I wanted to start this video, to be honest, and the reason why is because life gets in the way. So this video is, I'm gonna give you a fair warning, is gonna be a little bit long. You can skip to wherever you want to skip to. I mean, I'm not sure. This video is not really a how-to, but more of the story of this tank, where it's going and all that. And in so many words, it's welcoming a new tank to the Queen City Reefs channel. So that being said, I'm gonna start by saying that there's some clips from when I first got this tank, the introduction of it. Then you'll see a decision that I decided to make of what I was gonna do with this tank. But in all honesty, that has changed now. So for now, let's rewind time and let me get you back to when I first got this tank. What? You bit yourself. Hey guys, welcome to another video here with Queen City Reefs and more. I've lied to myself.
Over and over again.
What's that lie?
I will not buy any more fish stuff.
We're all on Facebook, right? We're all on that marketplace, or we belong to a group on Facebook, and somebody on one of the groups that I'm in posted that they're, you know, having to sell everything or whatever, and you know what? Let me just show you. Let me just show you what I've done. It was very tempting and I decided to pull the plug. Not that, to be honest, this was not the idea. I have been looking for additional pumps I can find for good deals to put on the 310, because I feel that a lot of my cyano problems is because I need more pumps, more flow. It is a big tank. But then the guy was like, look, if you take it all, you could take it for this much. And I was like, you know what? I've been wanting to set up a nano tank. Now, yes, I have a lot of other tanks that I need to work on. This is going to be on hold for a while. It is pretty much plug and play, but I do need to slow down. I need to make sure that all my other tanks are in running condition, which they are. They're supporting fish. The fish are doing great on both tanks. I need to finish up with the Peninsula tank, and then this is just, you know, a project to come after. So here is the tank that I picked up. It is an Aqua top 24 gallon that comes with the original light that, according to the previous owner, never was used. This nice little stand. It's a really nice tank, and I've been wanting to do it in an enemy tank. And I don't know what y'all's thoughts are, but I think this would be perfect. Again, it's a 24 gallon tank. It has its own little area for the sump already, kind of like the Red Seas. I have this little skimmer. The guy said that it worked like a beast, so we'll test this out to start with before we decide to get anything else. I mean, the compartments are pretty small, so I'm pretty sure my options will be very limited. There's other compartments here. I'll see what I'll do with them. The light, there are two glass lids that would go on top of here. Aside from that, I mean, the stand is pretty cool. He has his own little power supply outlet there that I don't think came with this, but maybe it did. I'm not 100% sure. There's a little shelf area that I would put right here, but I don't know if I would do that, since I'd probably put a little 5 gallon bucket in here for the ATO part. After much debate, much deliberation, and thinking about what I wanted to do with this tank, it's been here for quite some time now. It's actually only served its purpose as holding fish for observation, and if they needed to be medicated, then I moved them over to these other fish tanks over here to medicate them in. It's quite too much of a nice tank to use it for that, and I decided that I'm finally gonna pull the plug on something that I've been thinking of doing for quite some time now. Oh, hey guys, what's going on? Yeah, you caught me. I'm working on this tank over here. What I'm doing now is emptying this out, and I'm gonna put water from this tank into this tank, because I want to make sure that the parameters are as identical as possible from that tank to this tank, and that way I don't have to do some sort of acclimation process. The temperature, the alkalinity, calcium, magnesium, and everything else will be identical to where it's coming from. And from there we'll do, you know, leave it in there, see how they are acting, and at some point do a water change, since that tank is actually due for a water change. All right, so we're back now from that, right? As you saw, I decided to put the anemones in here. Now, what has changed from the moment that I made that decision, from the last clip that you saw where I was adding water, and then the next step was gonna be the rocks, as you can see here, and the next step was moving all the anemones from that tank to this tank. Long story short, the rainbow bubble tip anemone that I had in here split into 5 different anemones. So I decided to sell 3. The reason that I decided to sell 3 of those is because I also made the mistake to put the Ritterei anemone in here, and at first everything was fine and dandy, but little by little you could see the Ritterei kind of shrinking away. The reason why I think that happened was because maybe there was some chemical warfare between that and the other anemones. Now, they did perfectly fine, as you saw in my previous tank, and I'll see if I show some clips here while I'm talking. All the anemones were stuck to this one branch. They were all doing very well in the mega matrix, but once I decided to put them in here in such little space, I believe is when the issues started. Therefore, since then, I moved the Ritterei anemone into the mega matrix, and it is actually recovering very well. I have this anemone here, and then one that went to the back. And I know you're probably asking, in one of my previous videos you actually saw me say that I was actually converting that tank into the anemone tank, and that is actually exactly what's going to happen. So this is where I mean that there's a lot that has changed since the previous clips that you saw, to the decision of you know, initially this was going to be the anemone tank where my clowns were, 2 clowns were going to be. Then the female storm clown killed the male. I don't know why. That's another issue that happened in here. I don't know if the smaller space made her more protective or what it is. Another thing you're going to see in here, and I want to assure you guys that this is temporary, you will find the Klein's butterfly and the bannerfish butterfly that you saw in my previous videos when I put them inside this tank. And let me tell you, the plan did not work. So here is the tank as it stands today. You can see, you'll see the anemone there, and there's another one in the back of this rock. So let me tell you about the Klein's butterfly and the bannerfish. So the Klein's butterfly went rogue, and initially I did see it pick aiptasia, but then it developed a taste for my SPS, for all of my acros. It started with a nip here and there. Then I would see it nip a little bit more often, to the point where, believe it or not, my green slimer took a hit. It started STNing, and then it turned about 70 to 80% white. I was able to cut some frags off of it from the tips, and so far, that was a few weeks ago, so far those frags are doing very well. Then my large millipora did completely die, and then one of my PC rainbows, out of the 2 that I have, you can see some STNing on it as well, and I attribute most of it to the Klein's butterfly. Now, I keep talking about the Klein's butterfly, and you may be asking yourself, well, what about the bannerfish butterfly? Well, I did not, after a lot of observation, I did not see it pick at any SPS at all. But at the moment, I did not want to take the chance. So I reached out to a club and asked if anybody had fish traps, because I honestly did not want to dismantle everything. But if I had to, I would have. He was literally causing havoc. Initially, I just wasn't sure if it was him, so I'll tell you exactly what happened. I saw it pick here and there, never saw it actually concentrate on any SPS. It wasn't like he actually consistently went after the same one until he was full or anything. He would pick at one, he would swim away, he'd pick at rock, he'd come back, pick at another one, and so on and so forth. But the ones that suffered a lot, and I think that he was at most, because the green slimer and the millipora started STNing, and then you would see him at the edges of that STN eating some of that flesh off. You know, at this point, I had seen all of my SPS, and I'm not exaggerating when I tell you all, including the bird's nest, the polyps as in as they could be. You know, some you could see a little bit of the polyps, some you wouldn't see any at all. So I knew at that point that either it was this Klein or there was an issue with my tank. I did a water change at first because I found it odd that it was all the SPS. And I'm like, okay, I haven't seen him pick at all the SPS, but apparently he was. And the reason I know he was, or I'm certain that he was, is because I decided to use a fish trap that Michael from RA Sock let me borrow, which is pretty neat. It's the Nios bubble trap one, which I believe they use the same form factor of a different one that I've seen online. But either way, it worked beautifully because I was able to put food in there, and when I was thinking that I was gonna be there for hours, I was there less than 30 minutes. And initially my thought was to catch only the Klein's butterfly, but the first one that went into that bubble trap was the bannerfish. And I just said to myself, you know, might as well get him out, see what happens. Now that he's in the bubble trap, I don't want to have to fish after him later. And caught him and put him in his tank. And then I ended up catching shortly after the Klein's butterfly and put him in his tank. And not even 3 days, not even 72 hours, I want to say between 48 and 72 hours later, you could see the polyps on the SPS coming out. Every single day that passed, a little bit more of that polyp would come out, as if they were saying, okay, is it safe? Is it safe? And I would say that they're fully recovered now, but those that started STNing did not recover and did end up dying. I want to say that I lost two corals, 3 if you count the slimer, but I feel that those frags will be fine, and it's just an opportunity to grow it out again, especially because I was thinking of moving it anyways. Now, I wish I would have recorded this tank in the past, because there was aiptasia everywhere on this tank as well, everywhere. And not even a week of these fish being in here, all the aiptasia was gone. And I decided to then, if you can see this rock actually came from the Mega Matrix recently because it had aiptasia all over it. The funniest thing though is that the Klein's butterfly would be the one to initiate contact with the aiptasia, and then the bannerfish would come next and eat some of it, as if the Klein's butterfly was training the bannerfish to eat aiptasia and let it know, hey, this is food too. They ate all of the aiptasia on this rock within 24 hours, which I was amazed. And now the question stands, are they trained enough now to know that aiptasia is food? Because I never saw them go after big aiptasia. I saw it pick here and there, and at some point I did see it eat a small aiptasia, but it just didn't seem like it was often enough. And so I'm wondering that if I were to put them back, do y'all think that they would go straight for the aiptasia, being that there is a buffet of it in this tank? Or am I risking the SPS again? Now, one of these fish that I am considering putting back is the bannerfish, because again, I did not see him pick at any of the SPS. So I'm definitely considering putting him back and hoping that maybe he alone will go after the aiptasia. But I am very, very tempted to put the Klein's back. What do y'all think? So I don't know, what are y'all's thoughts? I mean, it's obvious that it was the Klein's butterfly because I saw it with my own eyes. I did not see the bannerfish at all, as much as I would stare at this tank. Do y'all think that I should put both of them back? Or you think I should just put one? Do you think I should just put none? I'm definitely gonna get some of the other rocks that are smaller that I know that would fit in here and put them in there and have them go at it and clear the aiptasia from those rocks. But then there's other larger rocks that there's no way I can move. And so do y'all think that if I take that chance of putting them both, they'll go after the aiptasia now that they know for certain that it's food? Or do you think that they'll say, hey, you know what, aiptasia, I'm done with it. Now I see SPS and that's exactly what I'm going to eat. I don't know, it's very tempting because now that I saw them actually eat aiptasia with my own eyes, it's like maybe they will, maybe they'll take care of it. I don't know if it's a chance that I should take or not, and I'm definitely looking for your feedback on that one. So what are the plans now? The plans now with this tank is to move those 2 anemones that are in there into the new anemone tank. There was a time where I was actually debating on selling the Red Sea. I'm back in the office full time, so it's hard to take care of all these tanks. Where there's a will, there's a way, right? But then I decided to, you know what, why not make it something that's gonna be super easy to run, super easy to maintain? What other than an anemone tank? And you know, to keep that excitement, my plans are to, you know, start off with these 2 bubble tip anemones. I have another one in quarantine right now that is it's not a Colorado or a Chicago sunburst. It does have the sunburst name, I can't remember, but it's the cheaper kind. It does have like the greens and oranges sort of. I want to see how many variety of the bubble tip anemones I can get, and then on the sand bed maybe get 1 or 2 of the carpet anemones. Definitely has to be either a blue one or a red one. I'm not gonna settle for any other color. But I was thinking that at the same time I could possibly add some of those dwarf angelfish that I would not put in any of these other tanks, like the flameback, like I would say the potters, because the potters was a favorite of mine, but I know that they're Hawaiian only, and I don't believe those are being captive bred yet, so the likelihood I can get one of those is most likely unlikely. But any other ideas of what other, you know, fish I could add to an anemone tank? I want to make sure that I don't add too many either, because then you run the risk of some of these fish becoming anemone food, right? Especially with the carpet anemones. The carpet anemones are still in question. I'm not 100% sure on those. The other thought was some of the bottom rock work, maybe add rock flower anemones, and you know, giving it a variety of colors that way. So depending on where the large anemones move to, right? That is the update on this tank, where it's at. As far as where it's going, I don't know yet. I'm definitely open to ideas. Definitely want to subscribe so that you can follow along this build here. I think at this point my Mega Matrix is pretty much coasting. I make sure to fill up the 2-part solutions. I clean the socks, I clean the skimmer cup, and honestly, I mean, aside from the aiptasia problem that I have, I don't do anything else. I do spend once every 3 days, like 2 days ago, I actually spent on this side and this word, you know, all the rock work, I spent using Joe's juice to kill all the aiptasia. And on the weekend, I plan on spending some more time on 2/3 of it, and then by the end of the weekend, or maybe next week, the 3/3 of it, as much as I can get to, because there's some areas that I can't get to it. The goal really is to just keep them under control until I can find a solution. That is it for this video. I will see you next week with another one. Until then, keep on reefing.